Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a new topic, that is waterborne diseases and fluoride problem in drinking water. We can see, what do you mean by waterborne diseases? The disease that is spread when contaminated water containing pathogens is consumed either in drinking or cooking or washing food are called waterborne diseases. So pathogens are nothing but it is the microorganisms. They are directly caused by the microorganisms present in polluted water. We can see some examples. The bacteria, if the contaminated water contains bacteria that can cause cholera, typhoid, bacillary dysentery, gastroenteritis, viral hepatitis A, hepatitis G, and poliomyelitis. If protozoas are present in contaminated water, then it can cause the amoebiasis and gardiasis, right? Infection in the small intestine or loose stool in case of amoebiasis. Helminthic, they are called the worms that causes the hookworm infections. Now, actually, we are going to talk about the two waterborne diseases in details. The first one is the cholera, and second is the amoebiasis. So, cholera is a severe diarrheal disease caused by the Vibrio cholerae bacteria. What are the sources of cholera? The first source is contaminated water. Drinking water contaminated with Vibrio cholerae from sewage or infected persons. Surface water polluted with fecal matter. That's the waste product generated by the human beings. If the shallow wells are there, in that case, it can be considered as a source of the cholera. Contaminated food, under which what we can say raw or undercooked seafood, especially shellfish. A street food prepared with contaminated water can cause the cholera. So what we can say about the street food here? The street food is ready to eat food and beverages prepared and sold by vendors or hawkers in public places such as streets, markets or fairs. It is usually served from the portable stalls and carts as we have seen in the market, right? Or in the streets of the different market area. Fruit and vegetables washed with infected water can cause the cholera. Next sources we can see carriers. Humans are also the carriers of this disease. Symptomatic patients, severe diarrhea, vomiting, shed bacteria in feces, right? Human waste. Asymmetric carriers also excrete the bacteria. The next one is the poor sanitation and hygiene. Open defecation near water sources, lack of proper sewage disposal, inadequate hand washing facilities can also cause the cholera. So these are the sources of cholera generation. So what are the symptoms? One, the person is going to be affected by the cholera. Normally, what a person can feel. So watery diarrhea, sudden onset of large volume of watery stool, often described rice water stool a person is going to have. Vomiting tendencies, sometimes forceful and repetitive in case of cholera, rapid dehydration, muscle cramps, unexpected tightening of the muscle, that is called as cramps, right? Which occurs due to loss of salts during diarrhea. Low blood pressures, that is called a hypotensions, weak and rapid pulse. Anuria is also a system, that is the kidney problems arises in the human being. Kidney produce very little or no urine. That disease is called as anuria. So these type of symptoms are normally going to be found in the person who is affected by the cholera. So next we can see what are the factors affecting the spread of cholera. The first one is the environmental factors. So foods and heavy rains contaminating water sources, warm temperatures definitely favor the bacterial survival. overcrowded settlements, refugee camps, urban slums. This also causes the spread of cholera. Flies play important role in spreading cholera in the community. Vibrofolate bacteria do not multiply in water, but they may survive depending upon the temperature, pH, salt content, organic matter, sunlight, and other factors. That means these bacteria do not multiply, but they may survive depending upon the temperature of the water, pH of the water, salt contents. Whereas this bacteria can multiply readily in certain foods and drinks like milk or milk products and some varieties of boiled rice. Fruits and vegetables get contaminated when washed or sprinkled with the water from infected areas, right? So this is the environmental factors which causes the spread of cholera. Next factors we can see socioeconomic factors. Poverty is also one of the reasons for the spread of cholera. Lack of clean drinking water and sanitation, malnutrition, reduces resistance to infections, poor infrastructure for sewage and drainage. This comes under the social factors for this the cholera. Behavioral factors we can see unsafe food handling and street vending, lack of hand washing with soap after infections, drinking untreated water directly from natural resources. This comes under the behavior factors. So public health factors, delay in detecting outbreaks, inadequate health education and awareness, weak surveillance and poor access to medical care. The next point we can see, which is responsible for the spread of cholera, is the mobility and travel. Migration of infected individuals, trade and transport of contaminated food water can cause the spread of cholera. Now, how we can control the cholera? So for that, what things are needed? Early detection of disease by bacteriological examination of the stools, isolation of the patients, their prompt treatment, improvement of sanitary facilities, along with adequate supply of safe drinking water to the community. This can also control the cholera. Active vaccination and health awareness are very, very important measures for the control of cholera. Once the disease is going to be notified by the local authorities, it must be informed to the central health authority through the state health authority for the proper control. The treatment of cholera consists of rehydration or antibiotics. In case of kidney failures due to cholera, dialysis can be performed. Boiling, chlorination, filtration of water is needed before its use. So exposed food to dust and flies in open market must be avoided for the control of cholera. Now we can see the next disease, as I told you. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the two types of waterborne diseases. One is the cholera and second is the amoebiasis in details. This is also a waterborne disease. What are the sources of this disease? Contaminated drinking water that is common in poor scientist area, raw or undercooked food contaminated with E. histolytica cyst. This cyst is responsible for the amoebiasis disease. Unwashed fruits and vegetables irrigated with sewage water, person-to-person transmission via poor hand hygiene, fecal-oral route, flies and cockroaches acting on as a mechanical carriers of the amoebiasis disease. What are the symptoms of this disease? Abdomen pain, the people can feel the abdomen pain, cramps, diarrhea, often with mucus with blood, right? Dysentery, frequently loose a stool with blood, right? The next is tenesmus, staining during defecations, fatigue, loss of appetite, weight loss, fevers, severe cases, liver abscess, enlarged liver, jaundice. This type of things can be experienced by a persons when they are going to suffer by the amoebiasis. Next, we can see the factors affecting the speed of what are the various factors which are responsible for the speed of this disease. The first one is the poor sanitation and sewage disposal, use of human etc. as a fertilizer. This is also going to cause the amoebiasis disease. Contaminated water supply, lack of filtration, chlorinations, overcrowded living conditions, low awareness of hygiene practice. That means washing hands, cleaning utensils, presence of factors like flies and cockroaches. This can also spread the amoebiasis disease. Malnutrition and weak immunity increasing susceptibility. How we can prevent this disease? With the prevention of amoebiasis. For that, what we can do? Sanitary disposal of human, etc. That is, safe disposal is very, very important. Provision of safe drinking water to all must be provided. That means water should be boiled and filtered before drinking. Hygienic kitchen practice. That means uncooked fruits and vegetables must be thoroughly washed and disinfected. Protection of foods against flies. Uncooked food and vegetables can be disinfected by washing with iodine solution or acetic acid. That can help in the prevention of amoebiasis disease. The cysts in milks can be killed by pasteurization. As we know, the dairy milks are pasteurized. So from water, cyst can be removed by filtration and boil. So now our next topic after the waterborne diseases is the fluoride problems in drinking water. What are the sources of fluoride in drinking water? The main source of fluoride contaminations normally we can classify in geogenic. That is also called a natural resources and the natural sources and anthropogenic sources. So geogenic sources we can see weathering of fluoride bearing minerals, volcanic eruptions, hydrothermal activities, and marine aerosols are some of the major geogenic sources of the fluoride contamination in groundwater. We can see this diagram, the geogenic sources, which is considered under the natural resources, fluoride bearing minerals. If these bearing minerals are available, right, either in the below the ground surface or in the form of a aquifer, right, or even we can say the weathering also helps in the creation of the fluoride in the groundwater. So basalt, gneiss, dolomite, shale, sandstone, coal, clay, these are the fluoride bearing rocks, and fluoride bearing minerals are also we can see that the biotite and silatite. These are the fluorite, cryolita. So these are the fluoride bearing minerals and fluoride bearing rocks. This comes from the natural resource. Anthropogenic sources are also given there. So what I'm trying to say here, that the weathering of fluoride bearing minerals, you can see in the figure, these are the minerals, right? If the weathering is going to take place, ultimately it is going to meet to the groundwater by leaching or by the percolations during the rainy seasons, right? So by the figure itself, it is clear. The major natural sources of fluoride are the fluoride containing rocks like alkali, rhyolite, granites, and the mafic igneous rocks, and from minerals like fluorspars, cryolite, apatite, and mica, etc. So what are the anthropogenic sources? Excess application of phosphatic fertilizers in the agricultural field, coal combustions, aluminum smelting, cement manufacturing would also contribute fluoride to the environment. So once it is going to be emitted into the atmosphere during rain, it comes on the ground surface in the form of a runoff. So it meets to the surface water body as well as due to the percolation or through the leaching, it can contaminate the groundwater. Groundwater. So other anthropogenic sources include coal burning, the production of coke, glass, ceramics, electronics, steel and aluminum processing, and pesticide, fertilizers, and plating plants. So this figure also we can see here, the anthropogenic sources. So volcanic eruptions, as we discussed, alkaline volcanic rocks, hot spring, hydrothermal vents, drug wells, weatherings. So when the emissions from the industries are going to take place, and during these seasons, the precipitation during the precipitation, this emission emitted the pollutants are going to mix with the precipitation, right? And ultimately it falls on the ground surface. Finally, by leaching or percolation, it contaminates the groundwater quality by fluoride. That means fluoride contamination going to occur. So what are the effects of fluoride? on the human health. Beneficial effect is there, as we know that as per the IS 10,500 2012 Indian drinking water standards, the the limit of the fluoride standard of the fluoride is 1 milligram per liter. So if it is less than and equal to 1, in that case, it can control dental caries, tooth decay. But if it is more than the concentration of fluoride or fluoride, we can say, if it is more than 1.5 milligram per liter in water, in that case, it can cause the dental fluorosis, skeletal fluorosis. So dental fluorosis means mottling or discoloration of the teeth, brown black stains and brittleness of enamels. Skeletal fluorosis means joint stiffness, pain in bones, deformation in bones also occurs during the skeletal fluorosis. Limited movement of the bones, advanced cases, crippling deformities. Other impacts, gastrointestinal discomfort, if people can experience. Neurological problems can also arise, reduced thyroid functions, kidney damage. So these are the effects of the fluoride on human health. How we can control the fluoride from the drinking water? How we can remove? So as actually I would like to tell you that National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, Nagpur, in India, has developed a process which is called as Nalgonda process. So in this process, normally, what happens, how this process, what are the various steps of this process? Let us see. The first one is the chemical additions. Aluminium salt like alum, lime, and bleaching powders are added to the contaminated water. So you can see the water, the contaminated water is supplied to the treatment plant. And here in this tank, lime and alum is mixed together, right? So here, rapid mixing, chemicals are rapidly mixed to initiate their reactions. So it is mixed together. So next is flocculation and sedimentation. Flocculation means what? The aluminum salt, the alum, react to form a aluminum hydroxide flocks, which bind with the fluoride, turbidity, and other impurities together. Lime helps to form a dense flocks that settle it rapidly. So what is going to happen? The flock is going to form. So that flock settle down, and ultimately it comes from the bottom to the sedimentation tank, right? For the sedimentation process. So we can see bleaching powder is also added in the sedimentation tanks. So whatever the supernatant are going to be generated from the sedimentation tanks, it is sent to the filter. So you can see here filtration method. This is the filtration method. The next stage, rapid sand filters are used to remove the settled flocks for further clarifying the water. Rapid sand filters, normally in these filters we use the sand and gravels, right, for the filtration of the supernatant generated from the sedimentation tank. So finally, this water goes to the overhead tank, and before the supply to the people or habitation, it is disinfected by the bleaching powders to kill the bacteria, right? So what are the advantages of this method, Nalgonda process? It is an economical, simple solution suitable for rural areas with limited resources requiring minimum mechanical equipment and energy. What are the disadvantages? The major disadvantage is it generates a significant amount of sludge in the sedimentation tank or during filtering that needs to be managed. High dose of alum can lead to high sulfate levels and in the treated water. So this is also one of the major disadvantages. So in this topic, what we talked actually, what do you mean by waterborne diseases? So under the waterborne diseases, actually normally I discuss in details about the cholera and amoebiasis. What are the various sources of the cholera? What is the symptoms of the cholera? When a people is going to have cholera, how we can find that he is affected with the cholera only. So what are the factors for a spread of the cholera? How it can be controlled? That we discuss in this lecture. Next disease, waterborne disease, we talked about the amoebiasis. What are the sources of amoebiasis? Symptoms, right? Symptoms of amoebiasis in the human beings. Factors for the affecting the spread of the amoebiasis disease. How it can be prevented. And the last topic, we talked about the fluoride contaminations removal from the waters. What are the various sources, that is natural sources or anthropogenic sources, how it can be controlled. So these things we talked about in details in this topic. Thank you.